Yeah, I know I'm late to the party, but when Celeste was released in 2018, I had these bias blockers covering my eyes, and for some stupid reason, I just assumed that indie games were some second-rate garbage, and I couldn't fathom why anyone would want to play them over AAA titles. Boy, was I stupid. I'm certainly glad I've grown an extra brain cell or two since then, so after years of hearing just how great this game was, when my friend told me that I should play it, I did almost immediately. Now, I knew going in that this game was well regarded, so I wasn't surprised to find that the gameplay was in fact wonderful. What surprised me was just how deep the story was from an emotional perspective. You play as a young woman named Madeline, and she is someone that anyone who has spent any significant amount of time on this earth can relate to. With her life in a rut, she decides it's time to make a change and sets forth on her goal of conquering the mountain known as Celeste and reaching its peak. She has no real motive for doing this, mostly just a challenge, and she's hopeful that it will help abate her anxiety and depression. This, however, is no ordinary mountain. With many paranormal activities going on, such as a hotel haunted by its final manager, I found the most intriguing power that this mountain shows off is separating Madeline from her depressed and anxious alter ego Madeline. Madeline breaks forth from a mirror and tries her best to end Madeline's climb up the mountain and force her to give up on her quest. This was such a neat way to depict the inner wars that most people fight every single day as we work to overcome our personal insecurities and doubts. We later find out too that Madeline, like her creator Maddie Thorson, is a transgender woman, and thus we can get a better understanding of the inner demons she faces every single day. I had no idea a game like this would present such a complex story, but they told it in such a wonderful way that I'm sure most people will be able to relate to it and draw from their own experiences with fighting their own inner battles. And while the story really awed me, the gameplay was just as good. The challenges when you start climbing Celeste are rather easy and give you a good grasp on the game's mechanics. Madeline herself controls wonderfully and goes exactly where you tell her to, even when you mean to go somewhere else, but your fingers are stupid and don't input the right direction. The difficulty ramps up with each chapter, and within each chapter you find a new mechanic to test your skills against. Some involve red orbs that launch you in whichever direction you input, and some taste your patience, like having wind blowing in your face and slowing your movement. Some of these challenges are extremely complex and precise in what you need to do, and I think that's where the genius of Celeste really shows through. In my opinion, Celeste has perfected the one more try formula. When you die, you aren't ported back to the beginning of the level. Rather, the chapters have certain sections or runs to them. Get past one, and you're on to the next until you pass that one. For the most part, it's easy to see exactly what you need to do in order to get past a certain section, but it all comes down to execution and nailing that perfect input. Sometimes you do get lucky and get past a difficult part on your first try. Other times you die 10, 20, 30, 40 or more times before you can move on. But when you do get past those hard ports, man, does it feel really great. This is a game that you can literally feel yourself getting better at the more time you put into it, especially when you go back to the earliest chapters to grab something you might have missed. I also can't miss out talking about the boss fights in this game. They're very limited in the amount that you actually get to do, but the moment fighting against Madeline was so intense. There were some sections where she's firing balls at you, lasers, and you're trying to platform over to her and hit her. It was super challenging and a lot of fun, and ended a huge emotional climax for the characters. This game also presents many optional challenges such as collecting strawberries or finding hidden hearts and tapes which open up alternate sides of the maps. I tried a side B recently, and there was one section that probably took me about 30 minutes to get through, and I probably died well over 200 times trying to beat it. That said, a normal run took me right over 6 hours, and that was going for a minimal amount of strawberries. Gamers who are completionists and looking to do all the B-sides and C-side versions of the maps are likely looking at around 30 hours or more of gameplay. They also made this game very friendly for the speedrunners, and you'll always know how much time you spent on a specific map, along with just how many times you've died. That number tends to grow rather quickly. I'm a sucker for pixel art, and this game looked gorgeous. Every section of the summit was unique and sometimes even haunting. The landscapes were gorgeous, and the illustrations of the cutscenes fit into the overall aesthetic perfectly. Also, the music was so wonderfully done and lent itself to the overall intensity of some of the sections you found yourself fighting against. I really have nothing bad to say about this game. It's a masterpiece in every sense of the word and easily receives a 10 out of 10 scoring from me. Now, I haven't played every single platformer that has ever been made, but I have played a lot of them, and I can easily say this one is my favorite and probably the best of the bunch. If you've been sleeping on this one like I had, I strongly urge you to give it a shot. And for all of you that have played it, maybe it's time to give it another go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Shimmy signing out.